So, Vida, I thought that Vida's story, when she told me, I just couldn't believe it. And actually, I think I blocked it out of my mind. It was so distressing. But I want to introduce you to my friend Vida, who's from Slovenia, and let her tell you her story about her births. You can tell a little bit about both of them. But I guess the reason for doing this is that I want people to get some perspective and understand what challenges exist for women in other places, but maybe there's a bit of it everywhere. So, Vida, you want to tell them a little bit about who you are and how we know each other?
Um, yeah, I'm Vida from Slovenia. We are recent but very good friends with Sharon. And English is not my mother tongue, so maybe you will have to help me with some parts of the story. And I have two children, 3 and 5 years old.
Six.
She just had a birthday, sorry. Suri and Manu. So I gave birth to both of them at home, at my home, which is unusual in Slovenia, and it's not completely prohibited, but there are no legal ways to do that yet there. And it was prohibited during COVID. So when I gave birth to the second child, it was actually even prohibited, which is a very strange situation because in all of the neighboring countries, or I know especially for Austria, it's pretty much usual and very legalized that women decide to give birth at home. And it was a friend of mine from Austria that actually introduced me into this idea, and I was of the home birth. And I was not thinking about it before, and I was not even completely sure if I want to do it, because I'm not a person that wouldn't like hospitals, or that I would have some problem with hospitals or whatever. I just had in mind that maybe it's a good idea to be at home, because more likely I could do it without painkillers. This was my idea, like that if I'm in the hospital, who knows, maybe I will when I will be in pain, maybe I will just say, yes, give me whatever. Or
okay, yeah. So you thought you'd have a better chance of doing it without pain,
yeah,
at home, and you wanted to try to do it without painkillers like drugs.
This I'm sure I wanted to be aware of it somehow, and I thought, and I didn't know what I'm getting myself into. I didn't know that this is that it's gonna be such a fight to do it. But I went to my gynecologist, and
now this is when you were pregnant with the first?
With the first one. What actually made me decide to definitely do a home birth was how they reacted to my just idea. I was not at all sure. I was just thinking about it because my friend Ursha from Austria told me about the positive sides of it, but they reacted so negatively. So my gynecologist and some other people at the clinic,
they're the ones who responded negatively?
So negatively, yeah. They were immediately angry with me, and they said, what's wrong with you? Do you want to have blood all over your living room? And then another doctor who's very popular, and I somehow counted on him that he will understand, because he's known as being very open and women just adore him. He was very nice until I brought up this issue of this point that I might want to have a home birth.
Yes.
And then he said, lady, we are not south of Sahara, so which in the geographical sense of from Slovenia point of view, he would want to say that we are not in some non-civilized
like African place where they
do this. Yeah,
we're in a
yeah,
civilized part of the world.
yeah,
So he
something
said
like
we're not below.
yeah, we are not below Sahara somehow. And I was like, what? I mean, I felt that I'm being attacked and accused, and then I also felt that I'm being manipulated when another gynecologist was like very kind. Yes, I understand, but you know, just today it happened. And then she explained me this story about just today this woman had a home birth and the baby died, and I felt manipulated. Like, you don't tell a pregnant woman about dying babies, and at least not in this manner, because she was really pressing some um, emotional fear that every pregnant woman probably has of baby
Something
dying.
terrible happening to her
Yes.
baby. Yeah. So you felt
So
she was being very coercive in a
yeah,
like almost unfair way, or
yeah. I was really felt like stop it. You know, I mean, what this is too much, and it made me. Uh, it made me really. I was totally shocked and surprised, and also I was very angry. It made me really furious that they are treating me like some stupid woman and judging me so
can I
much.
just say we didn't really introduce you at the beginning, but um, both of Vida's parents are lawyers. She's an
Yes,
only
it's
child,
so true.
and she's a highly respected theater director in Slovenia and around the world. So she is not a stupid person. I guess that's my point. So for them to speak to you that way was really unacceptable or triggering for you to be talked to that way.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Because you don't consider yourself to be stupid at all, and you're not. You were a high achieving academic student yourself.
yes,
So
yes,
just
and
so they
it's
know
not.
who you
Yeah,
are, because we
yeah, yeah,
didn't do that in the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah,
So
yeah.
back to when you were pregnant with your first baby, this is
Yes.
what was happening.
Yes, this is what was happening, and it made me actually decide that I want to do a home birth, because I didn't want to have anything to do with these people that, yeah, they were just like insulting me. And then I was searching for a midwife, and then I realized, I didn't know it before, that in Slovenia this is a completely not regulated
Yeah.
field. There are some doulas around, there are some midwives, but there is not an official, you know, list with numbers that you can go to. You have to like ask, and then this woman asks another woman. You have to like, it goes by the word of mouth.
And there's no registration for midwives that you know of?
I mean, there is, but
For home birth, maybe there isn't.
no, for home birth, no.
Okay.
I wouldn't know exactly, but yeah, it's not a system that is like working system. So I had troubles to find one window, and then I found one in Austria through this friend, and I thought she was wonderful. I liked her. I went to meet her, and she said it's not a problem. It's like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours drive from Graz to Ljubljana, and she said we're gonna do it. She's gonna come, and she did come, and everything was fine. And also I was living at that point very close to the hospital, like, I don't know, 10 minutes walking to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
um, so this made me feel even more safe, you know, if something would go wrong.
You could go to the hospital
yes,
if necessary.
if necessary, yes.
Yeah.
But I felt very safe with this midwife. She was what I needed somehow. Very experienced, older woman that I could trust, and she gave birth to more people than for a whole village probably. And
That she helped them have babies.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I did ask her for some painkillers, and she was just laughing, and she said, I can give you this, but it probably won't help. And she gave me some homeopathic thing and something to smell, and but actually I didn't need it at the end, and everything went fine. But then the problem afterwards came, because we couldn't legalize this baby. Because
This was your first.
yes, the first one. We couldn't legalize her, and I was trying to I said, okay, I mean, it's impossible. Of course, we have to find a way to get a birth certificate. And it was
because the child exists. So
because the child exists, and they told me at the unit for documents that we need a signature from a doctor that he or she was attended the birth, you know. And I thought, yeah, but no doctor did attend the birth. They said it doesn't matter, you just need somebody to sign this document, and it can be a dentist or whoever, but just must have this registration number of a doctor. And I thought, what if it happens that some baby gets born on the way to the hospital or something? But this is different, because then immediately they bring it to the hospital, and there is a doctor there
that can fill out the paperwork.
So I was really like, what to do? And we went with Zoran, with my partner, and with the baby. At the end, we decided that we will just go to the clinic, and we will stay there until they sign this. Yes, and we went to the head of the clinic that I met during these fights, because again there was a fight, and one gynecologist started to scream on me like, you and you hippie midwife don't know what you're doing, when I was still pregnant. And I demanded to talk to her, to a supervisor. Yeah, so that's how I met this guy who is a chief of this department in the clinic. And we went to him, and we were there really the whole morning, many hours. He was said that we are putting him in a very difficult situation, but at the end he signed. And I promised I will not spread the word around, so not women with babies will not start coming there. And he mentioned that it might be a problem for some organ of, I don't know, I mean, because for the how you say this, like traffic with humans, or because I couldn't understand, you saw me pregnant like 3 days ago, now I come with this baby, why can't you sign that this was so, and that this is my baby?
And he was like saying it could be human trafficking.
Yes. I don't know how he would come to that. Anyway, at the end he did us the favor to sign it,
to get rid of you.
Yeah. To get
but he was very displeased.
He was very displeased, but I had a good connection with him already on the first meeting, because so he was not talking to me in this manner of that I'm a stupid woman. We had a bit more civilized conversation. That's why I went to him, and it worked out well.
Yeah.
And then
so that's the first baby.
That's the first baby, yeah.
And
then the second one was like 2 years later. It was COVID, and somehow during COVID, I learned, when I was again looking for a midwife in Slovenia, that midwives now really don't dare to do a home birth. Even before, they would do it, but they wouldn't want you to tell that they did it or something. But now nobody dared to. They told me like, oof, you won't get a midwife this time, because it's really prohibited to do home birth. There was some, I don't know.
So like illegal now
to do a home birth during COVID, which was to me very surprising, because nobody wanted to go to the hospital. Partners couldn't be at the birth. There was a lot of complications in the hospitals during COVID, yeah. And I didn't want to go to the hospital, but also the borders were closed, so I couldn't get my midwife from Austria to come. My partner started to be a bit in panic, because he definitely didn't want to be alone with me, and I definitely didn't want this to happen, that we would be alone. This was not
didn't feel like a good choice
no,
for you.
not at all. Of course you need, I feel I of course I need an expert there, just in case. And so at the end, luckily, the borders opened for tourists when I was still pregnant, but already over the deadline. And
You mean, what do you mean by deadline? Over the due date?
due date, yeah.
Okay,
over
so
the
you're
due
past your due date,
date.
and the
Yes,
borders
the
open
borders open
Yep.
for tourists, and we managed to get some, because on the border you needed proof that you have paid some overnight accommodation, touristic accommodation. So my midwife from the first birth, she came as a tourist to Slovenia to help me with this, and also she came in advance, which was for her more of a, how to say, sacrifice, because there were it was not on the border. It was a lot of taking a lot of time to go through all of these papers, so we couldn't count on it that I would call her and she would run
Make it,
yeah. So she came in advance,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very happy that she's there, and we did the other birth went even more smooth. It was not taking 6 hours like the first, but only 2 hours, and we had a pool that we couldn't manage to fill up on time. First time we had a fireplace, we had a really great time, and everything was fine. And then again, this problem of how to legalize the baby happened.
Like the birth certificate and
Yeah.
paperwork, and now
Everything.
that's illegal. That like
Yes.
the restrictions are
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, and the tax number, and everything a legal person should have, all this data.
Mm-hmm.
And my idea was to go back to this gynecologist woman that I all the time was seeing all the whole pregnancy.
So you did go to her during the pregnancy.
Yeah. Also the first time I was going to these visits and measuring and whatever they do there. But the first time I really had lots of fight with this woman, and the second time this woman was kind of nice. So at one point I even openly told her that I'm planning a home birth. I was a bit more careful, and she didn't react like, oh, you are stupid, why you want to have blood everywhere. But she was a bit more respectful, but still trying to persuade me to do it in a hospital, maybe not in Ljubljana, but there are other hospitals that also use these water pools because they don't have it in Ljubljana and so on. But at the end, I came there with the baby, and I wanted her to sign that she saw me pregnant a few days ago on the last check, and that this is my baby, so I can have this paper. Which is strange because this paper is written in a way that she should somehow sign that she attended the birth. I mean, but you can probably write it in the comments that it was a different way. There is no formal logical procedure for these kind of cases. And this visit was really awful because
this is the part that's terrible.
This visit was really awful because somehow I was also not, if I would do it again, I would react differently, but I was not somehow prepared so much, and I had a toddler at home, and I just wanted to have it done.
Right.
Yeah, these papers, I didn't had so much as the first time and support to do it in a nice way. So I thought with this woman that she will just sign it and that it wouldn't be a problem, although I knew that she's unhappy with the situation that I did a home birth. And also it was clear that I cannot tell that I had a midwife and who it was. This is clear from the system because she would be legally prosecuted. So everybody, I mean, I knew that she knows that I had a midwife and that I did a planned home birth, but she knows that I have to say, well, it just happened. I had nobody assisting me, but thanks God the baby is okay. And we both know that it's a game, but what else to do?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, okay, I see, but I have to check if this is, if you really gave birth. And I was like, how? What do you mean? Here is the baby, and you can check. Yes, my stomach, it's somehow obvious, but you can check.
There's no baby inside.
There's no baby inside. And she said, no, I have to check if there is a baby inside. And I said, okay, you can touch my stomach. And she said, no, I have to check it with an ultrasound. And I said, no, I don't want this because it's just few days after birth and I'm not comfortable with this. And she said, okay, but then I cannot sign the papers. And I should walk away. But I thought, I said, please. And I said, come on. I mean, who are you kidding? It's obvious that I gave birth and you know it and I know it. Can you just please sign these papers? Because I need to make this kid legal. What do you recommend me to do? And she said, yes, I would like to help you. She was always really nice, but nice, like. And she said, yes, I would like to help you, but sorry, I cannot be sure that you don't still have a baby inside you and that this is somebody else's child. And I was somehow confused and I said, okay, how much this will take? And she said, well, I don't know, some 10-15 minutes. And I said, okay. I thought also that she knows what she's doing because I said that I'm just few days after birth and I don't know if this is even good for me that somebody goes with an ultrasound now.
So it's an internal ultrasound, not just ultrasound on your belly.
No, internal with some
you didn't say that before, that she's going to put a probe inside your vagina.
Yeah, but I thought she's a gynecologist, probably she knows it's safe or something. And I just wanted to get it done. And I thought, okay, like, I really don't like it and I think it's absurd.
It's horrible.
But let's just, like, get over with this. And then she was really nasty with this instrument because she also saw that I have a stitch, one only. Because she asked me before, so who cutted the, the cord? And I said, well, my husband did it, but with a kind of look that let's stop talking about this nonsense, you know, because I just need this signature and it's okay, you know, we had these talks. I have my opinion, you have your opinion. And then she saw the stitch and she said, oh, so your husband is also very good at sewing, right? And I said, yes, but she was with an instrument inside me when we had this conversation. And it was really
like
tension.
A big probe that's inside your vagina, looking in your uterus.
Yes. And she was moving it around and getting aggressive and asking me questions like, because she got really pissed off when she saw this one stitch. And I just said, like, can you finish, please? Is it enough? And she finished and, being really mean in a kind of, I felt really raped. And also then later, I mean, one funny thing is that she gave me a bill afterwards because it costs this, with this ultrasound machine, it costs separately, this kind of, and I was like, I didn't want to have this check, now you want to charge me for it? And she said, yes, sorry, but this is an extra expense. And I remember I was then getting so angry that I threw this paper on the floor in front of her, and I said, I cannot believe that you did this to me, really, I cannot believe this. And in front of the nurse and some other people were there, I said, I should sue you, this is really so unnecessary and painful, because it was painful, this whole procedure.
You're still bleeding and you've got a baby and you know, this is only a few days after the birth.
Yes. And I took the baby and I felt really bad, like psychologically, but then problems started also, because then I started to really have pain. And you all know how it is, like few days after birth, if you have even a small toddler and you're trying to start the breastfeeding thing, and it's like you don't need some extra trouble. I mean, at the end, it was fine, but I had for quite some days, I had big pain after this examination and more bleeding. And I was very seriously thinking to sue this woman because I was just so angry. And also I was very seriously thinking to devote my time into getting stories of other women, and some of them I know, and just like making at least some article in Slovenia about this impossible situation that women wanting home birth, which is in a lot of civilized countries a normal option, legal option, that are being so looked down at, and so like yeah, marginalized
Abused.
or abused.
Yeah, even abused.
I was really very angry. And then life goes its own way, and I was thinking then at one point it would just keep me in this anger if I go now to really sue this woman, because it would be not so straightforward. It would take long time probably.
Yeah.
And this story would need to be told again and again, and if I would lose on court on several levels, then before going to another level I would feel again, hurt, violated, if I wouldn't be heard. And I was not sure if I would be heard in court.
Yeah.
So I decided not to do anything. But then this bill started to come, every like, I think, I don't know, every 3 months I got a bill, and a bit higher, because I didn't pay.
Oh, her.
I didn't pay her, so the bill was coming back, and I would
with
always
like late fees on it or something.
Yes, and I would always just throw it in the trash, because it would get me upset when I would open it, and I would just throw. And then another time it comes a bit higher, and I would just throw it away, like I don't want to have anything to do with it, because it started to feel, if I pay this, I agree with what they did somehow, like this, And I needed a year before finally I just decided one day that I'm gonna take care for this, because I don't want this bill coming anymore. So I will go there and I will pay it. It was not such a huge amount, and I did it. So
you went to the office and paid
I went to the office and I paid it. Yes,
and
I was hoping not to see this woman. I haven't seen her.
You didn't see her. You just paid the person at the office.
Yeah, there is a long hall, and then there is more gynecologists, but there is one door that is like for this kind of administrative
to pay the bills.
Yes, so I did that, and I felt okay. I don't want to carry this anger and resentment anymore in this way. And
but then you also got
but then I got another bill, which was later. This was probably, I don't know, I'm thinking it was risky, so it must have been a year and a half after the birth, or maybe even more, to 2 years after the birth. I got from the court, from some inspector, a notice that I did a home birth, like on purpose, in this time when it was prohibited, and that I have to pay 500 euro fine.
So that's how much New Zealand? It's like about double that?
Yeah, it's about 1,000 New Zealand dollars.
Yeah. So you're getting fined because you had a home birth when it was prohibited.
Yes, during COVID. Yeah. From an inspector. And it was funny that it took them so long to write me this letter. And or I could tell the name of the midwife who helped me. So it was clear to me that they are after midwives, because if I tell who it was, I don't have to pay the fine. This is also like so upsetting. I mean, so stupid. And and I talked to some to my
not
father.
Funny. I'm laughing out of shock and horror. But anyway, really, keep going.
Yeah, I called my midwife and I said, "Can you imagine what happened? I mean, of course, don't worry. I would never tell that you helped me, because I mean, I wanted her to help me, but you feel like some kind of criminal, or because you want to give a home birth. This is absurd." So then with this fine, I was thinking what to do, and I just talked to my father, who is a lawyer, and some friends that know how it's working, and we made a letter together. We created a letter in which I wrote that I have no memory of anybody helping me, or even of giving home birth, that I'm so sorry, that I would really like to help them, but I have no idea what they're talking about. And yeah, just basically a very kind letter that I don't remember anything, and that it was a kind of shock, and that I was under influence of hormones, and yeah, somehow that I don't remember neither somebody helping me or nothing, and they just never wrote back. So
And
I
you
didn't
never
pay.
paid the money,
No, I
and you
know.
never told them your
No,
midwife's name or anything.
no, no, no. But we just wrote it. It was a longer letter in some kind of
Legal.
legal,
Yeah, you
right,
got.
legal formulations. That every and but I'm thinking, yeah, what about women? Because we are different. And before you said, I'm used to um stand up for myself in these kind of public situations.
Yeah.
And I have this background of my parents who would also help me if I get into some kind of legal troubles. But most of the women, I mean, they're not given any option. And yeah, if you are not like, I usually react if somebody says no, or and it's giving me some um arguments that I don't buy, I would even more go against it, even stronger.
Yeah, because you don't want to be laboring and birthing in that with that kind of quote support. It's not support.
Yes.
So
Yes,
you have the
totally.
confidence to stand up and fight against it, but most women don't have the skills or confidence to be able to
Yes.
do that. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's awful. And then I talked to other women in Slovenia, and I realized that this is all, it's all so awful. Really. Like, they're frightening women, telling them lies, treating them like, I don't know. There's another
Criminals.
detail, for example, when I was with Suri, pregnant with Manu, another gynecologist told me like, don't you love your first baby? Why no? Don't you love your baby in the stomach? Maybe you should think about stop breastfeeding. And I was like, what? Is there any like real scientific evidence that breastfeeding, like when while being pregnant, would hurt the baby,
The unborn baby.
the unborn baby? And again, I went to this head of the department, and he told me, no, there is no such evidence, and you shouldn't be told that. It's just like an opinion of this gynecologist that what, it's not decent to breastfeed while you're pregnant, or I don't know. I mean, yeah. And then I went to another hospital while it was COVID, and I was not sure if I will be able to get a midwife. I went to a hospital to check if I can give birth there in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, yes, of course. And they somehow sounded really nice. And we already made this list of my wishes in case I would come there.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of women told me that that it won't be possible, that they are doing this, that they're saying it's, a lot of things will be possible, and then they're just not possible.
When you get there, it's not true.
Yes, yes. And that they know this in advance, that it's not like, they have some capacities and then they are full and then they cannot manage. But
they're
I
just
went-
sort of appeasing you during the pregnancy and
Yeah.
making you believe something that they know
yeah,
is
and
not
what
true.
can you do when you are in labor? Are you able to fight with them? Because I'm able to fight when I'm not in labor, but when I'm in labor, I'm not able to
Stand up and fight.
stand up for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you feel telling me this story again? This is the second time you've told me. So I'm not in the shock that I was in the first time, but
Yeah.
it's horrible how
No,
you were
it is.
treated,
It is
especially when you were trying to get the paperwork signed after your second birth.
Yes.
And what that, to me, that's just like unbelievable, horrible
Yeah, it's
abuse
It's-
that she did essentially rape you.
Yeah,
And
it's totally abuse of power. She had the pen with the signature that I needed,
and she used this probe to abuse
Yeah,
you.
totally. Because she was angry. this I don't understand, because all of these people, I mean, they're not bad people. I don't believe somebody is like bad person, but they have this belief that
And maybe,
makes them angry.
and maybe
they feel
they're feeling
threatened.
like you're somehow putting them in a position that is very threatening for them somehow, to sign a paper that they're aware of a home birth that happened when it was forbidden. And that I don't know. Thank you for telling the story again. And I'm not sure. I'll have to think about, like, what do I write with this post, but I just think it's valuable for these stories, for you to, it's helpful for you to tell it finally.
Yes, I'm actually very happy that I can tell these stories. I always, when I tell it, it makes me angry, and still it makes me think somebody should do something about it. It's the beginning of life, birth, and
and I'm wondering, do you feel safe for this story to be told? Like, if I posted